Hi guys, welcome back to the shop. Hey, today we're going to get back on this AS1C, and we're going to adjust the cables and the oil pump, and then verify the supply on the oil pump. The important thing to remember when you're doing this, that you've got to do it in a sequence. So otherwise your carburetors need to be synced. Your carburetors need to be adjusted properly for your idle. Your air screws should be at the stock setting, or at least at the where it's running the best. And everything should be synchronized, and your cables adjusted prior to starting the adjustment on the pump, or even checking it. And once you've got your pump adjusted, your cables adjusted, and you're synchronized, then you can go ahead and do your output test on your oil pump. And I'm gonna take you through everything, except I already have the carburetors adjusted. I'll show that to you. I'll just take a clip from the last one, and I'll put that in there, and I'll show you how to adjust those cables, but we're not going to adjust them because this one's ready to go. But if you're doing this this procedure, you shouldn't have any trouble figuring out what we're doing here. Now, one other thing you need to do, the manual tells me that when you're doing the output check, that you can only do one line at a time. I really don't think that's really what they meant. I think if you want to verify the other side at the same time, if you had two little hoses, two banjo fittings, and you hooked everything up with another vial, I think you can do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the other side supply line off to the cylinder and just put it in a little cup and let the oil drain into the cup while I'm adjusting this side, and then go ahead and purge the line and hook the fitting back up afterwards. But I guess you could just leave it hooked up, but you're going to dump that 5 milliliters of oil into your crankcase. And it's not going to hurt anything, except that, you may foul a plug when you first start it up. That may be the only thing. But anyhow, let's get started on this. Okay, first thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and start the bike up. So I'll get the key on and get the fuel on and the choke. That's one thing that we didn't verify on this one, was the RPM, because there's no tack on this one. They tell you to, if there's no tack, just do the best that you can. I've got a little handheld tack, so we'll use it on it and we'll just see. I'll let this warm up just a little bit, and then I'll take you through that. Okay, just by ear or whatever is good enough, they say. I've got a little tack that I can put on here, and I'm running about 1500 actually, but I kind of like where that is. 14 to 13. It kind of, let me see what I can do here. Just drop that down 1/4 of a turn on each carburetor and see where we're at. It's not that critical, I don't think, since they're telling you to do it by ear. Yeah, we're at about 14 now. So let's move on with it. Okay, they tell you to set your air screws. In this case, for this bike, they're 1 3/4 from closed position. So you just run them in until they stop, back them out 1 3/4 turns. I've already adjusted everything with this, so we're going to leave it just as it is. The next thing you want to make sure of is that your slides are synchronized, and I showed you that in the last video with I just put the tongue depressors in the bores underneath the slides, and when you twist the grip, you should get those to move down at the same rate. So, and those are adjusted right here. So you adjust your, if you're synchronizing your carburetors, you're going to adjust the cables right here to do that. You just adjust your cables up here until both of the tongue depressors start down at the same time. Okay, the next thing you want to do is come up here, and you want somewhere between a half and 1 millimeter movement here. That's not very much. It's about right there. Okay, so adjust that right here once you've adjusted your lower cables to remove the slack there. Now, if during any of this time, if your RPM goes up, you know, just start it up again and see. And if you're adjusting it and the RPM comes up, you're pulling too hard on the cable. So lower that back down to where it's back at an idle. The next thing we need to look at is our oil pump, and that may be kind of hard for you to see. Okay, I think you can see the pin right here, and on the pulley there's a little mark. It's right behind it here, and it's almost in line. It needs just a little bit, I think. I'm gonna kind of get that settle in there. Yeah, it's okay. It really is. I think you can see it there now, but that needs to be lined with this pin right there. And you do that by adjusting this one right here. Okay? Okay, so we've got all our cables adjusted now. Okay, the next thing that I want you to do is to turn this wheel on the back side. Look on it first. There is an arrow. I'm not sure you'll be able to see it. There's an arrow on it, and just turn it in direction of the arrow, like this. Okay, the next thing they want you to do is to turn that until you see the widest gap right here. And it's not going to be very wide. Okay, I think we're there. And you want to measure that. Okay, I can get an 8 thousandths in there. That's 0.20 millimeter. I try to get the 10 thousandths, which is 0.25 millimeter. It will not go. And the clearance is 8 to 10 thousandths, or 0.20 to 0.25 millimeter. So that's what you want. And this one is just about perfect. Now, what it tells you is if you measure that gap and it's 6 thousandths or 0.15 millimeter, then you're going to pull this nut off right here, and there's a washer there, and you're going to pull the plate off. And behind it, I'll try to show you here. I don't know whether you'll be able to see it. Just behind that is a washer. And they tell you if you have the 6 thousandths or the 0.15 millimeter, to put a 1 millimeter or 4 thousandths washer behind that, and then take your adjustment again. But if you're at the 8 to 10, you don't need to do anything. So we're good on ours. So our pump is adjusted properly, and our cables are all adjusted. It's synchronized, but there's a flow in how you need to do it. You've got to synchronize. You've got to adjust your cables. Then you adjust your pulley and your pin adjustment here, and then you check your dimension here. Okay, I don't exactly have the correct data for my bike. This bike is a AS1C. I've got an AS2C, and it's supposed to have a white paint coat on it, and mine has a red. So I'm just looking here. It's at the minimum stroke, I'm supposed to have 0.50 to 0.63 cc's, and at maximum stroke I'm supposed to have 4.17 to 4.80. And I see that the HS1 has HS1B, no, HS1, okay, right there, HS1. Well, that's not going to help me. I thought that had a red pump on it. The HT1 does. It's got a red. But see, if you go by that, it's almost the same, either one. I really need the Service News number 198. That would give the amount for the bike I've got, but I don't have it, so I'm probably going to go by this one, which is the same engine, just some minor differences. So I'm going to check it at 200 strokes at the minimum stroke, which is idle, and I should have 0.50 to 0.63, and then I'm going to do another test at maximum stroke. That'll be with the throttle all the way open, and see if I've got close to 417 to 480. Now, what you need is a hose with a banjo fitting on it. You can buy the banjo fittings from Yamaha, and you can buy the hose from them. I've got it. You can just look up like a AT1 or AT1 or AT2 Yamaha. You'll be able to get a banjo fitting and the hose. And what I use is these little syringes that I get from the farm store. I've got one here that this will measure my my idle one. Of course, both of them will really. This is just a little bit better, and this will do the full throttle one. This is telling you that it's giving you the amounts in cc's, and the way I understand it, cc's and milliliters with as far as liquids go are the same. So that's what I do, and I'm going to go through the hookup and then show you what to do. So that's what we're looking for on this one at the idle at 0.50 to 0.63. So on this syringe right here, we've got the 0.50 right here, and 60 would be the next one. So it's not very much, and we're going to pull the plunger out, and you've got to block the end. Okay, the next thing we do then is come up here, hold your line so that doesn't break on you. You pop your line loose. Watch your washers. I've already been in here, so also watch your spring right there, and there's a ball in there too. And the ball's still in there. Is to install the spring in the bolt. That way it doesn't get dislodged. I'm just gonna, I don't want to mess with that too much. Get everything lined back up and just screw that in. That ball and spring are in there to keep the oil from going back. Okay, you want to hook your banjo fitting up here if you've got one, and then you just want to drop it into a syringe. That's what I've got down here. I've just kind of got it on my camera stand. Then you want to come up and open your purge. Just make sure oil's coming out. It is. Close it back up. Now you start your rotation, and you want to, I've marked on here right there with a magic marker right on the back side of the wheel here. You can put it on the other side if you want, but I don't think I could see it there because I'm going to be doing like this. So at that point, you just start your 200 revolutions. There's one. There's two. Okay, now I'm going for the full throttle one. I've changed to the bigger syringe because we'll be between 4 and 5 is where we should be. So again, just set it up anyhow you can monitor it. And what I've done is, hang on just a minute. Okay, what I've done here is I've turned the throttle, full throttle, and while I'm holding it, I tightened up my screw up here to hold it. Now, you may have to do something different, maybe use a vice grip or something like that, but I had this on my grip, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And I've got everything set down here, and you can see that now the throttle is open, or the oil pump is open. So we'll go ahead and get everything set back up here and get started again. And I've cleaned the tube and the other vial. Oh, by the way, it was adequate as far as our oil as idle. So now we're going to check it at full throttle. Same thing again, 200 revolutions. 1, 2, 3. We're just, we're at the halfway point, so we've just got, there's a little bit in the line, but it's looking like about 2.2 at this point. Okay, we're supposed to be between 4.17 and 4.80. So we're just about in there. Still got a little bit here in the line that will eventually squeeze out probably. But I think we're going to be right in the ballpark. I think what I'm going to do is just go ahead and loosen that up. And that'll allow it to just go ahead and fill up the rest of it. Yeah. Okay. Looks like the deal. So we look like we're kind of on the upper end there maybe. We're closer to 490 maybe even. It may be a little bit over. I don't worry about that too much. It's more the under that I worry about. Okay, looks like it's just about finished draining out of the hose. So it might be a little smoky. Okay, and then once you've got this, got your check done, then you need to make sure you get your oil line back on. And we've introduced some air here again, so just going to see. Yeah, okay. That's probably okay, but I just like to do it anyway. And now we've got to bleed this line. And this is the one for this cylinder here. So it'll be easy to you should see it pretty quick, starting to fill that line back up. There she comes. Of course, the other side you want to disconnect and put put in a little cup. Otherwise, all that oil is going to be in your engine. And now we're watching this line right here. It should fill up. I see it moving a little bit, but it's not solid yet. Excuse me. It's coming up there now. Okay, that's up to the manifold. Just a couple extra there. All right. And we're purged. And of course, just need to get our cover back on. Everything looks good in there. All our lines are purged. Like I say, if you don't want all that oil in your other cylinder, you want to disconnect that one and just let it drip into a container or something. Supposedly you can only do one side at a time to get the correct reading, doing it like we did this side. So the other side is just spent oil. Of course, you know, if you've got a clean container, you can stick it back in it. And we'll just go ahead and give it a put that screwdriver in there to keep it from rattling. The seat makes more noise than anything else. Okay, looks like we're good. Okay guys, there you have it. We've got our oil pump adjusted and we've verified the output. Just again, to reiterate, make sure you adjust your carburetor. Everything's running good. And adjust your cables. Make sure you get the slack out of them, where you just have the 1/2 to 1 millimeter of slack. And you do all that before you check the oil pump dimension and before you do the output check. But it's really a pretty simple thing. You just have to do it in a sequence. And you know, the output thing is it's just peace of mind. And you know, I know 200 revolutions, really? Well, I don't know. I've thought about it a couple times over the years, and occasionally I just half that, and then you half your output, and it's always worked okay for me. But I'm not going to tell you to do it. I'm going to tell you to do it the way they say, and really to crank that priming wheel 200 times only takes 10 or 15 minutes, and you're done with it. It's done the way they said. I just wish that I had the proper information for this one. I really don't think the AS2C is going to be much different. I think it's pretty much all the same. It's just the 6970 model, I think, instead of the 68. But I don't know that because I don't have a copy of the service data on that one. But I think I'm okay. I'm not worried about this one, and it actually has a little extra on the output at the full throttle. So hey, thanks for going along on the ride. See you next video.